Alright everyone, so this is the scReddit show match between Avoid and RedAlert. Best of 5, starting on Metalopolis because it's a most neutral map, I feel. And it's going to be closest positions on Metalopolis, so Avoid, actually typically a Protoss player, has actually been training a lot with Zerg, and he got to be pretty fearsome with it right now. Both of these guys are 2-time scReddit Open winners, and RedAlert is like some 1800 Terran on the ladder, and Avoid is about 1600 Protoss/Zerg. Scary thing here is that Avoid actually doesn't have that many games on ladder, though. So we'll see how this works out, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do. So what do you think from the Terran perspective, particularly because 5-Rex Reaper is being countered better by players of this day and age? Do you think he should do, Diggity?
At this stage, honestly, I don't know what RedAlert can pull out, because I remember seeing in the past he really enjoyed the Reaper opening, and I'm sure his entire style has had to take a huge backdoor. It's got to completely shift now because he has to go supply depot first of all. Reaper's coming out even later as it is. It's a lot more difficult to apply pressure across the board to any of the races, and it's really forced Terrans to cycle back to their original sort of role in StarCraft 1, which is to try to take the economic lead and things like that. And he's going up against a Void, who's a very good player. I remember him from original StarCraft. Was a very good player there, I think, for NRG. And it looks like RedAlert is, you already see a little bit of harassment from Avoid, and I'm kind of curious how he's going to be able to go for this. Maybe he's going to go for Reaper still, but try to do a little bit more on delay. We are seeing gas first from Avoid with spawning pool follow-up, but that's really the thing. I almost feel like Zerg, just because it's such a big nerf, it allows the other players to start, or other races, I should say, to start being aggressive, to really get to the stage where they can start being aggressive. Where Terran, I almost felt like they needed to be aggressive to really stay in matches. Granted, they had mules and things like that, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out. I'm sure RedAlert's a very capable player, and this is going to be my first look, actually, at Terran in any sort of competitive environment, trying to adjust and trying to do something differently. But at the very least, he's going to have to play a lot more defensively.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think especially the upcoming Reaper nerfs are very alarming. It seems like it's going to completely take Reaper out of the metagame. But I think Avoid is in an interesting position in that Zerg are in an interesting position versus Terran these days, because suddenly they get to try out all these new strats because they're almost guaranteed to be going up against a mech army now. It's almost always going to be some kind of Thor, Siege Tank, and Marines is kind of like the best option that they have otherwise. And like we've been seeing in recent tournaments, Zerg are progressively, like, their metagame is evolving to the point where they're starting to learn that all of these impossible Terran combinations like Siege Tank, Thor, and Marines, which seem so impenetrable because on paper Zerg doesn't have too many units that really counter that very well. They're starting to realize that, well, strategically, if you Fruit Dealer comes to mind instantly, you can do weird tactics like Infestor, Roach, and Baneling drops. Do carpet bombing with Banelings on top of the Siege Tanks, and really micro-intensive tactical choices that really affect the Zerg play. So you're starting to see these sort of atypical armies. On paper at least, Roaches, Banelings, and Infestors does not counter Thor, Siege Tank, and Marines, but yet in practice it can if you apply it correctly. So already we see the early reactor going up and the factory going up. I have to assume RedAlert's going to be super aggressive and get the early Hellions out and then tech to like a later mech army.
And very nice movement by Void there, actually maneuvering his way around all the Marines so he can get a good scout off. He is going to lose these Zerglings, but he got the crucial information. He saw the reactor. I think he saw the factory, so he has to know that Hellions are on their way. So I'm curious to see how he's going to respond. I mean, these are tough positions to have to deal with Terran on, so looks like I'm running out of disk space or something like that. But it is a tough position to have to deal with Terran on, but god damn it.
Out of disk space.
Yeah, hold on. I have to just close everything in the background again.
Okay. Did the live stream crash, or are we still going?
No, we're still going.
Okay, sweet.
Looks
so
like
I can keep talking.
Frozen.
I like what it is. We're losing FearGorm.
Yeah, I just have to restart Procaster, so it's going to lag us a little bit.
Gotcha. I'm guessing we are not. It says live, but I'm guessing it's frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Try to catch it as we come back on.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Alright, here we go. Alright, we are back and live. So, here we go. And, yeah, Avoid handling those Hellions so superbly. So I don't think those Hellions really paid for themselves. I mean, he got them out, but now Avoid, he knows what's up, and he handled it very, very well. So Avoid's in a solid position right now, taking up to layer as well, getting a second gas. and he doesn't have too much saturation on his natural. But it's interesting. Why would he's getting a layer actually at the natural? I think it leaves it a little bit exposed. What do you guys think of this move?
Yeah, it's typical for Zergs. Sorry, Diggy. It's typical for Zerg in that it just gives them a little bit more hit points, and so if people try and pressure their expansion, it just means that it's a stronger building. It's it's 1,800 hit points versus 1,250, so it just gives it a little bit of extra. And since it's usually no secret at all, it just makes it harder to kind of harass. So I typically don't do it because I'm kind of afraid of losing the tech, but almost everybody does that from what I've seen, or a good chunk of them do. I don't know. What do you think, Diggity?
I think it's more of an indicator of a player who doesn't typically play Zerg and is just kind of grabbing whatever, probably clicked the wrong hatchery. It might have been actually just a mistake, or perhaps even just a little bit of naivete. I do like what RedAlert's doing. He's going for the next best harassment and actually letting those Hellions run into his base. Big mistake. He's going to end up losing all these drones.
Oh, never.
The drones trying to surround, and again, mistakes of someone who does not usually play Zerg. Wow. And just, wow. He actually did not lose as many as they thought he would, for just, I don't know if that was luck or what, just blind luck. And now Avoid a little bit in panic mode. He's just starting to produce a lot of Zerglings, and these are Zerglings that he probably would have preferred to have be drones. Look, the Hellions are going to back off. This is a problem once Zerglings get speed, they can really just halt those Hellions, and then you have to worry on just larger numbers. Looks like that natural expansion is up. But RedAlert doesn't have enough to defend this natural, actually. And there, okay, it looks like he is going to be able to do some counter-economic damage to even things up, but the Zerglings very quickly being taken out by both the Hellion and SCV combination. Now Avoid doing nothing but sending Zerglings to RedAlert's front door, trying to even things up and trying to keep it going that way. It looks like he is building an infestation pit in the background. But you can tell this isn't his standard matchup. He's just trying to do what he can with what he has. But he is doing an excellent job of slowing RedAlert's economy down.
Yeah, really, really brutal. Looks like he jumped offline again, but I'll let him restart that one. I'll keep chatting up here, but yeah, really, yep. There we go. Yeah, I got to kind of wonder about this spine crawler placement in his base. I really think that that's a good place for a second spine crawler, but your first one really has to be right in front of your ramp between your main and your expo, just to keep things from, to punish anything that tries to run up like that. And I love this. RedAlert is just really a brutal Terran player. Notice the single Viking, RedAlert has so much APM to spare. He'll just, coast around, pick off anything he can. One Viking, sure. A bunch of Hellions, sure. He'll just micro the heck out of all that and really end up punishing the Zerg player.
Looks like, yeah, he's managed to at least do a pseudo supply cap, but it's not hurting Avoid too much. He should have another Overlord out shortly. But getting good luck at tech, and you can just see RedAlert, he likes playing the harass game, and that's really been nerfed again because of that. Because of the supply depot, what's been happening with what will happen with Reapers lately. He's trying to adjust his style more to the Hellion into Viking transition. Looks like he's getting the siege tanks out now, and he's kind of settling into sort of a 1-1-1 style play right now. Yep. He does have, although it looks like he's might think about producing Thors, because he does have that armory in the corner, and it doesn't look like he's upgrading weapons 1 just yet. So has a bunch of Hellions on the front door. It's starting to seal up his secondary, and I almost feel like RedAlert at this stage is playing a little bit more uncomfortable than he does usually, and then Avoid just producing a ton of Harvesters in the meantime to try to take a big economic lead. Unfortunately, again, because of the mules, he's a little bit further behind. But what surprises... go ahead, actually.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was going to say, yeah, I couldn't agree more that, he's got a beautiful transition here. And whereas some players would want to start off with the Reaper harass, like you were saying, he said, okay, fine, Reapers don't work so well. I'll just drop some Hellions. I'll be nonstop Hellion. But then he's got this wonderful sense of late game transitions. And kind of like we were saying earlier, he's now going to go back to a more bio tank Thor style build, assuming that's why he has the armory. Like you said, he's not building any yet, but and he's just going to harass, and then transition into that late game kind of dominant Terran style army where he can just march out with a bunch of siege tanks, Thors, and a bile ball, and just kind of take over the map a little bit. And looks like he's just about to start transitioning over there, but I really want to see where he's going with these Hellions, and if Avoid is going to be able to do that sort of fancy. Yeah, that fancy style of infestor defense against dropships, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I think Avoid a little caught off, but he could have gotten the fungal growth off and gotten a huge stop on that drop because it's a very expensive drop to invest in. But, it looks like RedAlert, expecting an expansion to be up here, decides to turn around and technically that there's none. And, excellent fungal growth and infested Terran use, so that dropship is definitely going to go down. And right now, what is Avoid doing? What's his long-term plan here? I mean, he has his third up, but I'd like to see him even force the Terran on the defensive a little bit more, because most Terrans, Zergs actually usually go mutas in a situation like this to force the Terran to have to craft some sort of response. But Avoid's not really doing that, and despite his really magnificent defense, he is going to have to deal with a 2-base timing push at some point. And I think Infestors and everything are going to be helpful, but I think mutas would really help to delay that.
Yeah, he definitely should have just a few mutas at least to make sure that he skews RedAlert's army composition towards countering mutas, because he needs to do that now. Right now, RedAlert's being able to get away with just kind of doing as much ground as he wants, tanks, Hellions, that sort of thing. He should at least have a token amount of mutas out there, I think is kind of integral to this strategy. But you can see he's definitely picked up on this kind of more modern style of strategy. Most Zerg players are starting to swap to that, what with the Terran nerf, of just going heavy Roach, Ling, and Infestor, possibly going to go right into Baneling since he has the centrifugal hooks upgrading right now.
Wow, and this is you can see 4 factories placed in the meantime for RedAlert. He's going nothing but mech. So Thors, some Hellions, some siege tanks, and he doesn't really have the economy to support this right now. He doesn't have the gas output. Perhaps he's going to go take a 3rd base in the bottom right, but I don't feel like he has the troops to hold it. And this just shows you how he's just not comfortable with this matchup once again. I mean, he's out of his style. He doesn't have the Reapers. He doesn't have the constant harass that he used to. Had that armory down way earlier than he really needed it. Looks like he is getting the weapons 1 upgrade. Still transitioning pretty well, though. And we'll see how this works. Perhaps he's experimenting because this is a show match, but I almost worry that he might just get overrun right here by Avoid. Fortunately for him, Avoid is playing a much more defensive style game. He is getting a couple Banelings out, but he's not upgrading everything to Banelings. And it looks like he's just trying to cut the map in half. It looks like we have a little bit of a lag here. It looks like he's just trying to cut the map in half and play a long-term economic style.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this OBS is, but they need to get out or what setting that is. Or if
I actually had to put it on HD quality to deal with the issues. So what I'll do is after this game, I'll fix everything out and iron it out. It'll be lower quality, but at least it won't keep on crashing. And they can just watch the VODs if they can't abide by the quality. But anyway, in the meantime, we do see that Avoid is finally getting up that 3rd, and these Hellions are doing some constant aggression. But now that these spine crawlers are up, I think it's going to put sort of a stop to that. The Hellions moving out to the back. Ooh, now they have the blue flame instantly roasting a lot of drones there. So I think Avoid, he's really feeling the effects of not spreading his creep between those bases. I think he could honestly have taken a base up here at the 12 o'clock position, and it would have been a little bit safer. At least he could put some spine crawlers up front. But right now, he's sort of scurrying around trying to deal with this harass from RedAlert. And I agree with Diggity. RedAlert could be putting on even more pressure, seeing that Void's not spreading his creep as quickly as he can. But right now, RedAlert's just not doing what he needs to do. And Ultralisk Cavern's going to come out. And if RedAlert doesn't push right now, I think he's going to lose this game.
Yeah, right now he's actually starting to push out with those siege tanks just before the Ultralisk Cavern is fielded, but I worry a bit about this composition. He's going to have to rely on the high ground, and he's got a very slow army composition. Just you have to sit there and walk with those siege tanks. Ultralisk Cavern is going to be up in just a moment, but you can see a big supply advantage just momentarily, but how long is it going to last? But critically, actually, for Avoid, the other thing is unless he just produced some Ultralisks, looks like he has 2 Ultralisks in production, he did not save the resources he really needed to just produce a whole bunch of Ultralisks right at once. He's a bit gas capped, and as a result, this is going to give some time for RedAlert to start push forward with these siege tanks. Also, as far as an Ultralisk engagement point, this is not the best. The placement of the Ultralisk Cavern is in such a way that these siege tanks are just going to be able to take it out almost immediately. And yeah, just nothing working for Avoid. Let's see if he decides to just go for a counterattack on the main. Looks like he is diving down for a counterattack on the natural secondary. And RedAlert has nothing. No, he's going for a flank, actually. But keep in mind, RedAlert has nothing there. But now big engagement right over the siege tank line. If the Roach is pressing forward, you have infested Terrans everywhere. The siege tanks still stand, though. Not the best engagement location there. And also a beautiful point defense drone. The siege tank's just going to wander up. Reinforcements pouring in for RedAlert. Yeah, I was looking for a counterattack, maybe some Zerglings in the natural extension. It looks like several of the Ultras pushing forward. Another big push there from Avoid, but it's not going to be enough, and I think that is going to be GG. Yeah.